Well, hello, everybody. My name is William Davis. I'm the owner of A.P.C Photography and WDCD Media. As you saw for a quick little moment, it's Rebuilding Black Community 14 and 100. And the whole point of this is right now, full synopsis. If we don't own 14 out of every 100 businesses, we will never re-own our community. Right now, we're at 3 out of every 100 businesses, period, throughout the United States on average. So today, let's take some awesome information that's coming from the Brookings research and kind of make this all happen. First off, let's talk about it. We need to close that gap. When we're talking about the gap in employment, the data is pretty much right here. We are at the moment roughly 14% of the population. We own 2.7% of every single business out there in the United States. Now, some of you will go, well, what about white America? White America does own 82% of all the businesses out there. And they happen to make up 72% of the population. Now, that depends on how you count the population, as we all know. Asian Americans own 10% of all business in the United States, but they only make up 6.3% of the population. That is really, really surprising. In other words, it's ownership of business that builds the communities. Now, that doesn't mean we're doing bad. So let me scroll down here. This is a Brookings report, and you can actually look it up in the uh, text, and it'll tell you everything that's going on there. But I really want you to see some real positive things here. Right here, this says a lot of good news. As Black businesses, we own 2.7% of all businesses, and we're 14% of the population. But when we do own businesses that employ people, we are the second best at employing people, period, which we're at 8.7 employees. The only ones who are doing better than us is going to be white America at 11.4. So out of everybody else out there, once we get a business going, once we get it successful, we can actually employ more people, which means we are a true benefit to the community. Now, considering we only have 2.7% of all the businesses, that's crazy. Another statistic in here, though, that really makes that statistic even more powerful is when it comes down to the type of businesses we own. Now, I am scrolling through this pretty quick. We happen to have the most sole proprietorship businesses, period, in the United States, period, by percentages. So we are running 97.4 and 95.6% of all businesses are sole props, which means if we can transfer that sole prop to an S Corp, a C Corp, an LLC, as we start building up the business, we can employ more people and we can have more in our community. Now, there is some narratives in this particular report that, well, basically say a very simple thing, and I'm going to scroll back up. We are excluded, at least the premise of this and early on is, where did that go? Please forgive me. I am trying to just pop through this real quick. Businesses, where did it go? Yeah, that's probably combined data. A lot of it is in this, or they're exploring our gaps in entrepreneurship, investors, and the rest. A lot of it is we don't know how to have the investors. I've been very, very lucky that the mentorship that I've had, yeah, I know this is kind of like scrambling through different places, but I just want to do this real quick and open up the first episode, and we're going to actually like dive into each section of this. Essentially, what's going on here, the narrative is we just don't have the ability to get equity and share in finances and the rest. That is true only to a point if we've not made credit a big important in our community. Having a credit score, that's hugely important. Definitely having above a 610 to a 720 does make a huge difference in the type of financials you can get your hands on. But that's education on financing. Now, the rest of the stuff that goes along in here, we can do and we have done. And let me show you one of the things that's really cool. Not only are we one of the best in hiring people, it's the type of businesses we own. Now, I am kind of scrambling through this because I want to keep this under 10 minutes. We're already at 5 minutes, and I want to really praise the areas where we do extremely well. And this is where this comes in. Top areas that Black businesses are, if we were to look at this pie chart here, 45,000 of them are healthcare and social assistance. 22,000 of them are professional, scientific, and technology services or technical services. And we also carry one of the more important parts of the industry, which is transportation and warehousing. And that is huge and important. Let's take a deeper dive into this. If we were to look at how we do our businesses, percentages owned by Blacks, 28% of them are going to be healthcare and social assistance. For those who are not Black, that's only 10%. So we definitely are in one of those strong areas. And if we look at what is professional, scientific, and technical services, this is a huge benefit in our favor. We actually have a better percentage in this area, and then that's another STEM area. We are sitting right in that strong, close to 14%, which puts us in parity with everybody else at 14.4. These two areas alone are areas of strong growth. They're strong areas that have a lot of emphasis and they are needed in the community. Now, when it comes to administrative, waste management, and remediation services, once again, we lead in that area there. Other services except public administration, we lead in percentages there. Transportation and warehousing. This is a really strong area that we could really take advantage of, considering Amazon warehousing. We have transportation needs where they're going to need that. And if we turn those from sole proprietors into larger transportation companies, we can really build up the community and getting more people employed in those industries, which is extremely nice to do. Uh, I know it seems like a daunting task. And one of the things I plan to do with this program or this particular part that we're doing now is I'm going to spend some time going from state to state. So here's the goal of this whole entire program. We're going to go state to state on how to start a sole proprietorship. We're going to go state to state on how to start an S Corp or a C Corp in that state. And we're going to go state to state on how to open up an LLC in that state. And this is going to take time. It's going to be a lot of episodes. We're looking at like a 3-year program here that I'm going to be doing because it's going to take time and research to do it. But by the time it's done, we will have an opportunity to rebuild our community when it comes financially. And the huge part about that is the more dollars that we keep in the community, the more money that we spend within our community, the more likely we can rebuild our community and hold our community strong because of a few factors. Now, I'm going to get probably into the 15-minute mark here, but if everyone's done watching here, thank you for watching. Appreciate it because now we're going to get into some of the more nuanced stuff. And if you want to stay for that, let's go. But let's just say if this is where we want to pause, call it good. Thank you for watching. And then the episodes that are coming up are going to get attached to each one of these nuanced parts. When we're rebuilding our communities, we need to own all the businesses in the community. So, for example, if we are going to move to 14%, we need to have a share in the services areas. We need to own all of those. When I say the services areas, I'm not just talking regular services. I'm talking like the ambulance services. I'm talking like the EMTs. I'm talking any of the services that contract with the city that assist police, that assist all of the public services that are owned by other businesses, other communities that are in our community. We need to have that in our community's business chest. So that's part of opening up a business. The other portion we need to run is going to be, of course, small businesses like food, small businesses like, needs for hair services, tailoring. We also need to make sure that we have every form of tech available in our community. We need to own our coffee shops. We need to own the small things where people come together. Community centers. I'm in one right now. This is a really, really nice community center. It's a launch pad for starting up businesses. And this is what we need to have in our communities. Now, is it a big place, giant building? No, that's not always how it's going to be. Sometimes it's going to be small. Now, I'm going to hear from some people that it's impossible. I can't afford the rent. I can't afford this. So our collective, we built it off of working with each other. I was in the office 3 to 5 days in a month, but I needed an office space. And let's be frank about it. That's like $1,000 minimum to $3,000 minimum to have an office space, unless you're doing like WeWorks, and then it's not really your office space because you can't really work in it. Well, we were in like a 450 square foot space. Frank, that's like 1,500, $3,000. We decided to work together, 5 businesses, and then our cost was reduced a whole lot. And we all were in our office between 3 to 7 days a month, and it never really affected us. Take a bigger building, to say it's got a $10,000 rent to it, and then you combine that with what everyone else is doing. Say, for example, if you're doing hairs and nails, well, put a coffee shop in there. Don't think people got money to buy coffee when you got hair and nails being done? Of course they do. Put an accounting office in there, like a little tiny accounting booth. You don't think those people might have some money? I think some of those people might need your support. All of a sudden, you now have a hub like we used to have of multiple businesses, like we did in Tulsa, under the same umbrella. And that's how you start to rebuild businesses in the community and start taking over. Now, we do need to also expand upon the healthcare and social assistance. This area here, we're already doing good. Professional and scientific and technical services, keep pumping more of that in there. As we start getting someone who graduates from law school, from any tech schools or anything like that, let's help them understand how to open a business, even if they're working full time, which is what I used to do. I worked full time, I'm talking 60 hours a week, just like all the rest of the professionals, and still hammered out 2 to 10 hours a week into the business and still had to find time for the family. Was it easy? No. Was it gratifying? And in the end, yes. And this is some of the things we have to be honest with ourselves. How much do we want to do to build back into the community? And I think all of us are capable of doing it. We have so many magnificent people in the community, have so many great ideas that could just start the businesses and move it forward. And when you start employing people, let's be frank about it. That stat earlier showed we employ 8.7 people once we own a business. The only other community that outdoes us is the white community. And frankly put, the only reason why they outdo us is because they have more businesses that are LLCs, S Corps, and C Corps. We have more businesses that are sole proprietors. If we had less businesses that are sole proprietors, that doesn't mean it's not bad to have a sole proprietorship, because if you look at it, it's over 80% of the businesses, period, in the United States are sole props. So it's not a bad thing to do. But the only way you can expand into employing more people is to switch it to an S Corp, switch it to a C Corp, switch it to an LLC. And those are the next steps we have to do in a community to really magnify what we can do. And I see that coming, and it's going to be here soon. So I thank you for watching. It wasn't a refined show. I didn't put my big cameras on. I didn't do all that. I just wanted to talk to you about what I believe our communities can have. Will I be improving the quality of the show itself? Maybe, maybe not. Will I be doing better with information going into it? Yes. There'll be some videos, some other stuff I'm going to have you watch, and we are going to rebuild our community. I really want us to get to 14 to 100 of every business that's owned in the United States is a Black-owned business. And that way we can actually start being 14 out of every 100 of the CEOs and chairman of the boards throughout the financial community, which we should be there. We're now at about roughly 2.5%, 3%, depending on which chart you use, or 1.7%, depending on what it is that you consider C-suite, or we're like 6.7% if we're considered executive, which is really cool because we're at 6.7%. That means we're doing better than what we do owning businesses. And the only reason why we're having a barrier is literally old school people don't know what we can do. And they're like 70 years old on the boards. And if we can show that we can run more and more businesses, when those 70-year-olds disappear, we're going to take over. And the fact of the matter is, one of the strongest companies in the United States was chairman by a black man, and that's Microsoft. So it used to be chairman of the board. John W. Thompson was the chairman of the board of Microsoft after Bill Gates. So it is possible to be in one of the biggest companies, period, in the United States as a chairman of the board as a black man or a black woman. So we're going to get there, and it's coming. We will have it. Now, I'll continue the series. I'll refine the series. But other than that, I want y'all to have a good night. Thank you for watching. Bye now.